What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work2Game, and it is time to talk about should you buy Battle for Azeroth. I do want to thank our Patreons, so definitely thanks to them if you'd like to consider becoming one. Link in the description below. Let's dive in. Y'all ready for this? Yeah. So the game's been live now since, depending on where you're at, the beginning of this week. And basically, I played a ton, at least 24 of the first 36 hours, and I have basically done everything that I can do, or at least part of it. I've leveled up several of my professions a bunch, I've pushed through a bunch of the quests. I think I've got one chapter left, and then I'll be done, but I'm doing that with a friend. We're going through Zandalar together, so I'll do that when he gets online, and then I've pushed through my war campaign to the point that it's gated behind rep. I've done some PvP, I've done some dungeons, I'm getting my gear up, I'm pushing through various professions, kind of getting all that explored, and I feel like I have a pretty good taste of the beginning of this expansion. And so the first question is, what is it you were looking for, and is it something that this game can meet? This game is very well rounded. There's a reason World of Warcraft is the size it is. There's a reason it's been running for as long as it has, and that is because World of Warcraft just does things well. And you can say, oh, a certain game does a certain aspect better, or they're more interesting, but ultimately there's a reason World of Warcraft is the best, and that's because their execution, right? That's the reason they're the most successful. That's not because they have the most inventive gameplay mechanics or anything like that, but it's because their execution is on point more often than not. And so I think that's one of the things that I really am impressed with here. The content is very broad. The pacing is wonderful. Especially, I leveled as Horde. Vol'dun is a wonderfully paced zone. Plenty of interest. So as far as positive traits, I think that the expansion was incredibly smoothly run. I had a little bit of an issue when you first get in. You had the entire server trying to stand on top of each other and talk to the very same quest giver. That was obviously very laggy as it was trying to spin up tens of thousands of instance servers because we were all getting pushed into our own phase for the scenario. And so that was a little slow. I know a couple of servers had some issues, some of the higher pop servers. I'm on a high pop server, but I logged on before the event, which I think was really clever because they had the authentication server go down during all this mess, but it only went down for a couple of minutes. So they were back on it, very good, but most of us had already logged on before the event went live because it was just a quest giver that wasn't available until a certain time on the clock, and then at that time the quest was automatically put into your inventory. So there wasn't a bunch of us trying to click on him or anything like that. It just took care of itself. And I really only got disconnected when they had a hot patch that was supposed to be helping with some of the authentication issues. And so they took us offline for you know, a couple of minutes, and then as a high pop server, of course, then it took me 10 or 20 minutes to fight my way back into the game and have a stable connection. But other than that, during that first 36 hours, it was buttery smooth. As soon as I got out in the zones, I didn't have any real issues. Some of my add-ons, of course, lag. You can't expect add-ons to be perfectly updated, since I hope that the add-on developers are getting to enjoy the game themselves. But that'll probably sort itself out over the first couple weeks. So as far as execution on the stability, is it stable? Yes, it is. If you want to come back now. Now, when you talk about gameplay mechanics, I would say that the game is in a very well-rounded state, but it's too early to call if it's good or not. You may have played the beta, you may have more knowledge about where we're headed than me, played through some of the newer stuff that might be coming down the pipe, but ultimately, I think that the story's decently engaging. The dungeons are very fun. I'm looking forward to seeing those at higher difficulties, because obviously when you talk about normal and heroic, they're pretty basic. But I look forward to seeing those as we push into mythics and things like that. I think there's a lot of interesting mechanics. I think that 8 is fine. It's perfectly great. I think the new kind of layouts of the zones and stuff are interesting. I have been playing with War Mode on, and that's been fun. It's been adding a lot of interest. So I think overall the content is very well rounded. If you're looking for a World of Warcraft experience, this one seems as good or better than any of the previous ones. As far as if this expansion will feel a lot of depth in the long term, I would say give us at least a month. Let us get into that first raid tier. Let us get into seeing what the daily grinds are. Let the prices on everything settle. And let's get a feel for how many hours a week you feel you need to play to stay caught up, and then what are you getting for that before we decide if this is going to be a long-lasting good expansion. But so far it feels to be off to a good start. Now, one of the things in this community that we talk about is it better than Stormblood? So as far as the way it was launched, absolutely, hands down. I might try to break this into a bigger topic and make a versus video of it, but just to, you know, too long didn't read, I would say that the stability issues way outweighed it. A lot of the steps that World of Warcraft has learned over having released more expansions than Final Fantasy definitely weighed out for them. So the 2 MMOs I play, and that one having had an expansion last year, I would say that this game had a much better stability out of the gate and had a very smooth leveling process. So I really did enjoy it. I level capped in right at like 24 hours after it released. So I think that that's great. Now, the question then is, should I play as a new player? Well, the game's going to boost you to 110, which will allow you to jump in basically right to where we are and enjoy what we just played. And then all the professions, instead of previously the way the professions were done, is it was a lot like other games where each expansion adds 10 levels or whatever to the, or 100 levels or whatever the game is. They add some number to the scale, and then you have to level through all the previous content to get here. But Battle for Azeroth, it marks a big change there. Now every expansion's been separated off into its own progression, and so you're going to be starting fresh, and you'll be starting at 1 to, I think it's like 150 for most professions, and you just level 150 professions that way, and you only worry about the Zandalari stuff, the new stuff, the Battle for Azeroth stuff. If you want to go back and do the old stuff, that's great, but it's an option. You can always just play the current stuff because they feel they've learned a lot, and if you don't need to experience the old stuff, they don't want to force you to. So I think that it's a great time for new players. It's a great time to try the game out. Keep in mind that if you do make a lot of money playing early in this, that you can pay your expansion with in-game gold. So it's just a neat time to kind of see where the game is at and see where it's going to go from here. So I think, to sum it up, yeah, it's a great game. It was a very smooth launch. The content seems good. I haven't done enough of it to really feel that, like, oh, is it going to hold up for 2 years? I don't know. It's definitely holding up for a week. It's been very fun, and I think that if you're looking to give the game a try, you're looking to return, if you're looking to possibly pick it up for the very first time, definitely give it a shot. Keep in mind that you can play for free at very low level, and then for $15 a month you can play up to Legion, but if you go ahead and buy Battle for Azeroth, you'll get a level 110 level boost. If you are going to do that, I would recommend you play the level 100 trial of a couple of classes, see what you think, and then use your 110 boost on the one of your choosing. There's very little difference in how the classes play between levels 100, 110, and 120 as far as core mechanics, rotation, things like that. Everything after that, you're dealing with a lot of passives and gearing, and there is some interesting systems, but you'll get a pretty good feel for like the flavor of all the different classes in the game. I mean, there are, I don't know, 12, something like that. 10, 12, I think there's 12, and then they range from having, I think as low as 2 specs, definitely most of them have 3, all the way up to a few classes. I know like Druid has 4 specs, so you have an enormous number of play styles to try and an enormous amount of content to enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead and get back into it. I'm going to go ahead and jump right back into playing, and we're going to go ahead and stream a little my plan is kind of here, at least for the near future, is to post and then go live, post and then go live, because I want to be playing but I want to be posting, so that's the balance I'm going to try to strike. So I'm going to go ahead and go live right now if you're watching this video fresh after it comes out. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'll try to answer them more specifically. We do have a lot of guides and more specific opinion pieces coming out on Battle for Azeroth over the weeks to come, but if you'd like me to see us to cover something specific, we have a huge list of videos we'd love to make, and sometimes it's a very long time until we get to them. So definitely keep letting us know in the comments. Keep reminding us if there's a guide you want to see, and we'll keep pushing it up the list until we get a chance to make it. Thank you guys so much. This has been Chris with Work to Game, and I'll see you next time. What is Work to Game? 30 seconds, go! Work to Game is basically a channel where we talk about video games, anything we like about video games. We sometimes post vlog videos about something else that we just want to talk about. We kind of have a schedule. It changes all the time. It's in the About section on YouTube. We also stream over on Twitch just anytime we want to play games. Right now, it's happening more and more. I don't know what's happening at the time you watch this video, but the best thing you could do is click on the About page and kind of see if there's a rough plan that we have here